Hello everyone, today in this video we'll fight against the enormous character of our world around us, and I would like to discuss in this video today the current situation in many countries, not only so-called Western world geographically speaking, so Europe, North America and former colonies like Australia, maybe South Africa, depends, the geographers have different ideas about the exact definition of Western world, but if I say Western world, geographically speaking, people know what's that, and it's not a civilization, it's a geographical term. There are many civilizations, and there is only a geographic term that unites it in terminology. But okay, we see that in these countries, especially currently ruling elites, are no longer accepted by the huge part of the societies. And of course, these elites do not want to give away the power, because who would like to? Power gives privileges, power gives power, power gives riches, and that is why these elites try to introduce a system of militant democracies that they want to isolate, like in Germany. Alternative für Deutschland is still being isolated from the coalition with other parties, despite the fact when we now look at the popular vote support, it's slowly becoming the largest party in Germany, but still there is a firewall around them that they cannot cross. No one wants to, from establishing parties, make a coalition with them, and so on and so on and so on. The same with Marine Le Pen in France and her L'Assemblée Nationale, so National Assembly, the formerly National Front, created and led for many decades by her charismatic and great father. And we see that despite the fact some of these so-called populists by the left side, so these movements of protest that do not accept currently ruling business political elites in these countries, despite the fact some politicians like Marine Le Pen tried to make some agreement with the establishment and established parties, and even take some of their leftist postulates like acceptance of abortion, acceptance of some narrative on some historical events, and so on and so on. It didn't help. They are not accepted by this establishment, and even like Marine Le Pen, they are being excluded from a possibility of actively participating in the elections and as candidates for the presidents, for instance. Yeah, but we see that now currently ruling business political elites are breaking their own laws to save their own butts, and it's quite funny because to save so-called democracy they are using non-democratic methods. So how can one add the salt to the make soup salty without using salt? I don't know, but this is the leftist, another step of leftist pseudologic. And what history teaches us? History teaches us that if the support of government goes beyond 30%, it's becoming really unstable, and we are reaching this point in many countries of so-called West, and we see that the political stability of this region of the world is becoming the past. And of course, there will be still many turning points. Secret service, elite, currently ruling political elite, will try to bribe or eliminate or exchange the leaders of the opposition. They will try to create license opposition like it was during communistic regime in Polish People's Republic, that communists created licensed opposition with Mr. Wałęsa as a leader, who was their agent, communistic secret service agent, and he was leading the so-called, in quotation, opposition, I would say licensed opposition by the communistic government to the power. That is why they deceived many people and deceived nation. Of course, I think currently ruling regimes, people working there in secret service, are having such scenarios also on the table, depending how the situation will develop. But one thing is for sure, that when currently ruling elite is not accepted by the majority of the society, their days are counted, and this year or the other or in few years these governments will be overthrown this way or the other, peacefully or non-peacefully, but for sure their days are coming to their end. And this is the way how it looks like when elite got emancipated too much from their own societies. And it really happened with this business political elite, because they are created mainly by and ruled by officials who were in quotation educated. I do this quotation on purpose. Educated for the officials from their really young age. That is why these people do not know real life and are completely disconnected and really prone to stupid ideologies that lead them to nowhere, and and doesn't allow them to make sober uh, assessment of the situation, and doesn't allow them making sober decisions. That is why these people really drift farther and farther into the ideological madhouse. That is why we have all of these green deals, genders, and so on. And now societies get tired, despite the fact they are spoiled in most cases with the prosperity and stupid ideology. They are brainwashed, but they see that their living conditions are falling down, their countries are being flooded by aggressive newcomers, and so on and so on, and nations are starting uh, their more and more active resistance towards the government, which failed completely and didn't keep the promise they were promising. A welfare state, paradise in the earth, but now there is a socialistic hell, as it always happens, and it will be never any different. If we neglect the reality, reality will kick us into the back. And now we see that currently ruling business political elite, it's losing its support of the majority of populations. They are trying to use different tricks, even non-democratic tricks, to keep the power, but it will not prolong their existence as a ruling power for long. We are living in interesting times of changes. All the best. Have a nice day. Bye.